Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Inarticulate podcast. And tonight is a good evening. You can relax. You can put your feet up and get comfortable. Because in today's show, we're actually taking listeners' questions and attempting to help navigate through life, or maybe answering some questions that maybe one or two of us have thought about before. I have to say, I think we have over 30 questions. I've heard maybe 3 or 4 of these, and they were excellent. So I'd encourage you to maybe get something to drink. For me, it's a piping hot sweet tea. And curiously, I take my tea with milk and sugar. And I take my coffee as is. No milk, no sugar. I hope that wasn't a question, because if it is, I just answered it. Anyway, do get comfortable, and let's listen into what our awesome, magnificent listeners have to ask. First up, we have Sage of WhisperwindASMR.
Hello, Matt. So great of you to take my call. Long-time listener here, first-time caller. I was just wondering, since you're basically an expert in everything, if you could tell me what your opinion is on aliens. Are they out there? Do you think that they're out there? Do you think that they're out there and they just don't care about Earth? Or, as so many other people have said, do you think that an alien invasion is imminent? And if so, what can we, as the people, do to prepare ourselves for an imminent alien invasion? Love the show. Thanks for having me.
What a remarkable first question from Sage of Whisperwind. And how refined is their voice. Okay, this is a broad topic. To answer the first question, I think it's far more likely than not that aliens exist. Now, the word alien, we have connotations of little green dudes with green skin and, big heads. But an alien is just a life form on another planet. And I think given the size and the growing size of the universe, at least the one we know about, it is more likely than not that there is some kind of bacteria at the very minimum living. And you have to remember that if you believe, depends which theory you believe, but I think it's mostly assumed that we evolved from even like a single cell organism. And if that's the case, if there is bacteria on other planets and solar systems, then aliens do exist. But to answer the real meat of the question, do I think intelligent life exists? And if they do, is an invasion imminent? And if it is, what can we do? I think if an invasion is imminent, it's probably a little bit too late to do something about it. In fact, I would encourage you to keep living your life as it is, in the hope that it doesn't actually happen. But if it did, and aliens suddenly were in our world one day, and I guess it depends on the grounds of the invasion. Are they here to beam us up and, make us do dishes for the rest of our life? I don't know why, if aliens had the technology to invade us, they wouldn't have invented dishwashing machines, but who knows? It would be a horrendous life to spend washing dishes, especially alien food. I mean, who knows what that looks like? But, going off on tangents here, if aliens are about to invade, then they clearly have a technology that is far beyond our comprehension, and therefore we have very little chance of resistance. So I would suggest, be chill. Aliens come down with mean intentions. Be chill. And because again, if they're already here and we can't see them, their tech is too much to combat. So just be chill and go with the flow. Be fine. Just talk in the exact voice you just spoke to me in, and there is no way they're not going to keep you alive. But I would profess that I think they'll keep you alive indefinitely for like eons with that voice. You just have to talk a lot, I guess, but it's fine. Okay, I probably spent way too long on the first question, but I really loved it. Thank you so much. Okay, this is from Sarah of Swarms.
Hey Matt, a long time listener, first time caller. I'm actually hoping you can resolve a big domestic dispute. My partner and I have already found compromises when it comes to cheddar and Stilton and rice and noodles, but this is a biggie. I say mashed potato is the superior potato, but my partner is all about the roasties. Even though you're known for making the occasional ropey decision, we want to leave the ultimate choice to you. Thanks.
Thank you again, Sarah of Swarms. Wondercrammer, I think her channel is. Sure, check it out. This is an excellent question also. I feel like I'm going to hear myself saying that a lot. I think this is way too dependent on the external factors. If I could make a perfect version of mash and roast potatoes, it would be mash every time. But it comes with the caveat that it's laden with salt and butter and some cream. And it has this velvety, salty, creamy, buttery texture that's just, you can never bake that into a roast potato. You can salt them and get that nice crisp, but you're never going to get the kind of decadence of a mashed potato. But I think a mashed potato is easier to do poorly than a roast potato. You put it in the oven, it crisps up. Even if it doesn't crisp, it's a roast potato. But a mash, you can just take the potatoes, drain the water, and mash it. And if you serve it like that, it's dry. It's uninteresting, and that would be worse than a bog standard roast potato. So for me, mashed potatoes, providing it's ridiculously unhealthy. Story of my life, really. Thank you, Sarah. Alright. Okay, now we have MarnoASMR.
Hey Matt, my name is Marno. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a big fan of the show. My question to you is, have you seen my big box of crayons anywhere? That one that had like 64 crayons in it. I'm pretty sure I left it at your place after our coloring marathon. Anyway, hope you're doing well.
Trying to keep a straight face. Marno, thank you very much for the excellent question. I have not seen your crayons. I don't remember ever stepping foot into your house. I'm really trying not to laugh. But I really hope you find them. I have a feeling they'll turn up somewhere. Excellent question, though, and clearly pertinent and quite significant part of your life right now. So I hope they turn up. Truly. Thank you, Marno. Okay, the next is edafoxxASMR.
Hi Matt, big fan of the show. I need some advice on spending habits. What are your 3 things that you would never spend money on? I have such a hard time deciding if something's worth it or not. Thank you so much for answering and for letting me be on the show. Lots of love from Germany.
Thank you very much, Ida. Fantastic question, and I think it's a question that almost anyone watching and listening will have struggled with themselves. That constant balance between we only live once and oh no, I need to save some money. I have nothing. So 3 things I would never buy. I think even if I was a millionaire, I still wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't buy a new car. I know in some circumstances buying a new car can be advantageous with maintenance costs and that kind of thing, but typically they depreciate so rapidly. The moment you're driving the car out of the showroom, you're losing 20-30% of the car's value, and that's just so much money. For me, I would rather buy something, I mean, whatever you can afford, but me personally, I would rather buy something that's a couple of years old, has a full service history, ideally still under warranty, and not lose that kind of 20-30%. Now, almost all cars depreciate over time. You could be some kind of visionary, car expert, and pick out a car that might retain value or might become more valuable down the line. But for the average person, stay away from new cars. Second thing I would never buy, my parents nearly did this. I would never buy a wooden, not a wooden, but like a caravan kind of home. My parents almost were kind of downsizing and freeing up some money to, you know, who needs inheritance? My parents were freeing up some money so they can just, you know, live the dream kind of thing. And they very nearly bought a kind of a, what we call static caravans, like mobile home kind of thing that don't move. But it was built from wood or reinforced with wood. And this thing, again, will depreciate over time. If you're buying a house, if you're fortunate enough to buy an apartment or a house, these should always appreciate with time. So getting on the property ladder is a big yes if you can, but not something that will degrade over time. That's something you want to stay away from. They're inviting because they're very cheap and the entry cost is very low and it's your own place and they look very nice. But these kind of mobile home things, for me, not the best investment. And third, they're 2 very large items. A lot of people don't have that kind of money. Neither do I. But third, I think I would never buy. I say never. I need to say it because I'm going to say it. I would never buy. I don't think I would ever buy an iPhone because they are so expensive for the technology that they're providing. And they're restrictive as heck. You can buy an older iPhone and get a, you know, much better value for your money, but if you're buying the kind of top of the line flagship model, they are so expensive, and the competition in the market now is so much stronger than it was, and you can buy almost identical phones, in some cases improved phones, for, I mean, half the price. So if you're looking to save money, I would avoid buying flagship phones of any kind, but especially even Samsung are a little bit overpriced. But I think Apple right now, and I think the world's beginning to understand that, I think they missed their revised forecasts. And full disclaimer, I have Apple stock, But yeah, I would avoid flagship Apple phones. And that's 3 big tickets, so let's come down more day to day. If you can avoid buying coffee from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, because they are so expensive, and you can literally make something probably even tastier. If needs be, buy the kind of milk frother and a coffee machine for yourself and make your own coffee. It's a bigger upfront cost, but you will save so much money in the long run. I mean, some of these range from like $5 to $15 a cup, and some people drink these every day and wonder why they don't have any money. So try and brew your own, if possible. Thank you for the question, Eden. My answer was way too long, but I think anything monetary is especially important right now because everyone is struggling. Thank you. Alright, now we're going to go to Captain Bailey, or Cap Bailey.
Matt, long-time viewer, my friend. Love the show. I was just curious, and you don't have to answer this if it makes you uncomfortable, but did it hurt when you fell from heaven? That's all I want to know. Love you, brother.
Find my center. Did it hurt when I fell from heaven? I mean, in all honesty, if this is the kind of company I'm keeping, all these amazing listeners, it sounds like I've ascended and I'm now in heaven. So the ascension didn't hurt, but I consider myself in heaven, surrounded by such amazing people like yourself, Cap. Thank you very much for the question. And your voice is just 11 out of 10, brother. Thank you. I like that a lot. Okay, the next is from ASMRGamingNews ASMR.
Hey Matt, when was the time in your life you felt the most at peace, and why?
Excellent question. I think I should preface this question or this answer with I have a very, very high baseline level of happiness. I don't know why. I think my parents can take almost all of the credit. Maybe that in some video games, I don't know. Being lucky generally. But I feel pretty close to at peace most of the time, which I think is what I'm most grateful for in life. And of course having a beautiful family, an amazing wife, and just being very blessed. But to answer the question specifically, I think I feel most at peace when the only time my life is kind of in a more stressful leaning environment is certain times at work. And recently I was on a work trip in South Africa. I was in Cape Town for a week doing some work there, and the night before in the hotel I barely slept. I was thinking and strategizing, wondering what on earth I was doing here, that I don't really have any idea what I'm doing. So like the furthest I could be from being at peace. And at the end, and it was a week long, it was pretty intense and quite grueling, but I got through it. And on the Friday, I was sat in the lounge, and my work are very generous. I was sat in the airport lounge and sat there with a coffee and some delicious food. And I was just sat there thinking, it's done. It's done. That's amazing. And then I had Christmas to look forward to, flying back home with my wife to see my amazing family. So I think that in recent memory is the most at peace I have been. And it was magnificent, really. Thank you very much for the question, Angie. Be sure to subscribe to her channel. She's relatively new. or is coming back to ASMR, and her voice again. Magnifique. Okay, now we go to a Mexican creator. I think in English it's ViviAlto ASMR, but I think it's written Vivi, like VIVI. I think it's Bibi.
Hi, Matt. Keep up the good work with your show. I'm so glad you're doing it, but I want to know, when am I gonna become a millionaire? I feel like I keep working and pushing myself, but then nothing. So I feel stuck, and then I get lazy and I get sad. So if you could help me out, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
What an amazing question. And I think that probably characterizes how almost all of us feel or have felt at some point. Thank you so much for the question. First and foremost, if I was a billionaire, I would give you $1 million right now just for the question, because it's so hard. It's so hard when you're trying and trying and you think you're doing great work, and you are doing great work, and you're just not getting the reward that you hoped, that you deep down you feel like you deserve, right? And it's so tough to keep going and to keep putting the work and the effort in. And sometimes you can find yourself sat there wondering, like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Why is it not where I want it to be? And it's just so hard. And the only advice I can really give is that, firstly, everyone, and I mean every single person, no matter how wealthy or how poor or how easy or difficult they might have it, every single person has felt like that at some point. Okay? Everyone has felt like they were banging their head against a metaphorical brick wall. And no matter what they do, nothing seems to work. But all of the most successful people in our world, all of the billionaires, each and every one of them, has so many stories of failure before it worked. So all you can do is keep pushing forward with this relentless attitude of just head down, eyes closed, and keep pushing. And hopefully, the universe does its justice, and you get that break, and things start to go your way. And for me, I had a great upbringing, but I was a very nervous kid, unremarkable in every aspect, in fact. And I just didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. And this followed me around all the way to the point I left school. I went to college and dropped out after 3 months. And I didn't know what I was doing. I worked in a gas station for like 3 or 4 years, always telling myself I would go back to education. And every year it was delayed and delayed. And nothing I was doing was adding value or going anywhere. I went to community college for a couple of years, kind of graduated and couldn't get a job in IT, which is what I studied, and ended up as a security guard. And I felt quite satisfied, to be honest. I was earning some money, not a lot of money, but it was something. It was better than nothing. And from there, I was very lucky and got talking to some people and started to move up the career ladder, so to speak. But only because I was very lucky, for one, but I was also quite contented with what I was doing, and it felt like once I accepted where I was in life, and kind of learned to be happy with that, I don't know, things started happening. I'm not saying you should give up and just lay down and accept what you have, but I think there's something to be said for seemingly the more at peace you are with your life, the easier things seem to come. And again, that isn't a rule, but it seems to be, from my experience, what happened. That almost like when I stopped caring, or when I cared a little bit less, my good luck kind of came then. I'm not sure, but I really feel for you. And again, if I had $1 billion, I would give you $1 million right now, and a lot of my other friends, because I really know that feeling, and I can only wish you the best and wish you all the luck with what you're doing. Try to live a good life and be nice to people, and hopefully that swings back around. Anyway, probably took way too long to answer that question, but again, I think it's something that we have all felt at some point. The next is from ASMRGamingNews.
Hey Matt, big fan, long-time listener. I have a question. Do you have any recommendations on some relaxing games I could play, like video games? Sometimes I just want to chill, take it easy, and play something relaxing, you know? So, do you have any suggestions for me?
I have a couple of suggestions, and this is from somebody who, because I've been gaming for like 30 years now, I think, since I was like 7. It's quite difficult for me now to find something that isn't a rehash of something else and something I've already gotten bored of. So, if you're not at that stage, this is probably, there's a lot more choice. But I found Stardew Valley to be so chill, so at your own pace. It didn't have as much replayability as I maybe would have liked, but if you haven't played Stardew and you like the idea of farming, that kind of thing, it's super relaxing, and it isn't taxing on the senses in any way. And also, I think you're a big Fortnite fan, and I think there's something quite nice about going into a game like Fortnite, one of these big maps. For me, it would be no building, but your choice. And just, if you're lucky enough, get a sniper rifle, go up to the mountain, and just chill. Don't play aggressively, don't chase after people, just be alive and be at peace, and shoot anything that you see. There's something, again, when you take the pressure and expectation out of gaming, I think the whole dynamic changes. And of course, there's something fun about competing and you know, being better. But there's a game I was playing last weekend called Spiritfarer, I think, that is the very definition of chill. That might be worth a look. You basically play as not the Grim Reaper, but someone who's charged with ferrying spirits around to places to help them kind of find peace. I think it's got a bit of farming and stuff in it, but you ride around on a ship, which is quite nice as well. Anyway, a couple of suggestions for you. Thank you for the question. Okay, the next we have ASMRMaddy.
Hey Matt, long-time listener, first-time caller. You made moving away from home and starting a life in a new country look effortless and exciting. Do you have any tips for someone who is starting something new in their life?
That is 11 out of 10 for question. And again, I think it's something that, even if it isn't moving, is something that everyone could or has related to at some point in their life. For me, moving away was kind of incremental. So I got my own place, I think, at 25, I became a security guard. I moved out and bought my own little one-bedroom apartment. Wasn't a lot. Saved up my deposit and got somewhere. So that's kind of step one. And then I took a job down in England. So I moved from Scotland to England, which I guess was like the real move away, because all my family are, of course, in Scotland, at least my immediate family. I moved to England for a job, and in that job I was between England and Slovakia. So that was my first time, I guess, working abroad. And then I was offered a job in Dubai in a different company, and that didn't feel... I think once you do something, even at a smaller scale, like moving from Scotland to England, or even moving out, I think once you've moved once, it's honestly, it's quite easy. Really, the biggest problem is worrying about it, and I think that is true of almost everything in life. The worrying and the thought is 10 times worse than the actuality, and I really wish I could learn that lesson myself. Even knowing it, we can't shut our brains off, right? But I think, to answer your question, if somebody who's starting something new, you're going to worry, you're going to feel anxious. Try and remind yourself that it's not going to be as bad as you thought, but also try and equip yourself with reasons as to why it's going to be okay. Try and prepare yourself, understand, read, and become comfortable with what you're moving into or what you're starting. If you're maybe starting an ASMR channel and you worry that it won't gain traction, that no one will watch, at least one person will watch. Somebody somewhere will see your channel. It's very likely that you will help them. Now, whether or not it will reach the kind of numbers and subscribers that you hoped, maybe not. But again, try and enrich the knowledge you have. Do some research. Look at what's working, what isn't. Again, equip yourself with information, and you can offset at least some of the worrying. I hope that's helpful. Thank you for the question. The next is from ASMRMuzz.
Hey Matt, absolutely love the show. Thanks for letting me ask a question. I think the question I've got is simply probably the biggest question culturally at the moment that everybody wants to know, of course, and that is, what is your absolute #1 favorite Star Trek Next Generation episode, and why is it The Defector?
I love that question so much. For anyone that isn't a Star Trek Next Generation fan, give it a watch, because it really is as good as Muzz makes it seem. But my favorite episode, I don't think it's The Defector. That's the one where the Romulan spy, I think, shares lots of battle plans or something. It's been a while since I watched it, maybe like a couple of years. I've watched it numerous times, the whole thing. I think it's that one. I think I loved that episode, but it wasn't the one that made me think the most. I think that was, it's in season 5, towards the end, where Picard gets kind of beamed down by a laser onto a different planet. And when he gets there, he's already living a life. And he has memories that are like 50 years old of a life that came from this planet. It's kind of complicated, a little bit convoluted to explain. But he essentially teleports somewhere else, lives a full life, and then successfully is kind of taken back to the Enterprise, the spaceship. And he wakes up, and I think it's been a few days, he's been in a coma. And in those few days, he had lived an entire life. on this planet. And if you've ever seen Interstellar, you understand how time dilation works. And that if someone's traveling at the speed of light, time is traveling so much slower for them. So the reason it's so interesting is because it's plausible. And when he wakes up, he can remember how to play, I think it's a tin whistle, because he learned it in this other life. And I just found this idea mesmerizing. So the factors are great. I think it's called The Inner Light or something, I think. I'm not sure, but watch The Next Generation. It's a fantastic show. And Patrick Stewart is just epic in every way. Thank you for the question, Muzz. Okay, next we have ASMRShanny.
Oh my gosh, Matt, I'm a big fan of the show. I just kind of had a quick question. I kind of like someone and I'm really nervous about rejection. What should I do to get them to talk to me?
That's an awesome question also. And again, I think something that anyone listening has probably experienced at some point. So when you like someone and you have no idea how to kind of bridge that gap of the never having met, if it's someone you know in real life, then it depends on the personality type of both people. Some people don't even like being approached, and some people physically can't approach someone. So what I would suggest is try and find like mutual friends, and if you're the kind of person that is comfortable going out or going to a bar, try and organize like a big group thing that you could invite this person to. And if you're going to be super nervous, but if you can get to the bar or the event or whatever it is, what I would suggest is don't try anything. Just almost ignore that that person is there and have a nice time. Because if you want to form like a meaningful relationship, one that could be successful, you need to be able to be yourself. And if they can see you having fun and, you know, really kind of living in the moment and doing what feels good for you, if they're attracted to that, then you guys are going to have an amazing relationship. Or potentially. Whereas if you try and be something or be confident or whatever, that isn't who you are, right? So already you're starting off on like a false pretense. But organize something mutual and maybe you guys can get talking and go from there. But it's very challenging, and again, if you're not a social type like me, the idea of organizing a group thing is horrendous anyway. Then it's a bit more challenging, and which is why people like me ended up on dating sites and that kind of stuff. I met my wife on Tinder. But it is difficult to branch out and make that initial communication. And I'm a little bit reluctant to, if it's specific to you, then maybe you're not as confident as you seem, but you're very playful, very funny. It'll be very easy for you to reach out. But if you're someone that's ultra introverted and just find yourself sitting there, it's very, very tough. And you could try and find out mutual interest, something like that, but it's very difficult. Okay? Being patient, but also if you can understand that to be comfortable with you saying hello just one day, walking in, passing, hey, who knows what happens. Anyway, I am the last guy to give advice on dating whatsoever. I hit one home run with my wife and I was very lucky. Thank you, Shani. Okay, the next is from ASMR with Kim.
Hey Matt, first of all, I absolutely love your show, and I always listen to it when I get the chance. There's just one thing I've always wondered, and that's if you could have any fictional animal as a pet, what would you choose and why?
That is very tough. I like that question. Any fictional... I'm trying to think of any animals I know that like grant wishes or give money. Yeah, I could spread that some around, give some to charity and save some lives or something. Would be very cool. My mind's kind of drawing a blank to wish-giving animals. Oh, fox. The phoenix, Dumbledore's phoenix. I think he would be quite a cool pet because you never have to deal with the end, because pets usually don't live forever, sadly, and fox always reincarnates, and his tears can heal people. So you can just walk around, and I don't know if you have to make the phoenix cry. I think he can cry on like demand. You just walk around healing people. That'd be quite cool. So I'll go for fox, but I feel like I'm missing a trick here with like a wish-granting pet that I can't think of just now. But thank you for the question. Okay, the next is from ASMRZeitgeist.
Hi Matt, this is Michael from Germany, long-time listener and big fan of the show. So, since you're a radio DJ, I have a more or less work-related yet profound question for you. If you could listen to one song only for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Curious for your answer. Bye.
Wow. Your voice is like velvet, by the way, dude. You should consider taking up ASMR if you don't already. One song to listen to for the rest of my life. That is very, very challenging. I think maybe something that's super long, like Stairway to Heaven, I think is like 9 minutes long in its entirety. So there's like some variety. Or maybe like one of those classical pieces that's like 50 minutes long. Then again, it's like nice background music. Because if you're listening to something that's quite short and has quite a deliberate hook to it, I think it would get quite boring after 5,000 listens or so. So something lengthy. Let's go Stairway to Heaven, because I can't think of any specific classical piece that's like 40 minutes long. But very good question. I'd need to give it more time. Thank you very much. Okay, the next is ASMR RileyRose, who I believe is a Twitch streamer predominantly, but also has a YouTube channel that you should definitely check out.
Hey Matt, I am a long-time listener, but first-time caller, and I couldn't honestly think of a super good question, so, you know, your show's amazing and helps so many people. I just wanted to ask, what's your favorite thing about yourself? You help so many people, it's so amazing. We think you're amazing. What is your favorite thing about yourself, and why?
If you don't classify that as a super good question, I have no idea what your level of expectation is. Something tells me that you expect way too much, because to me that's a perfect question. So thank you. And it's good. It's good to be positive and positive, mentally positive. So difficult for me to answer, because I've always considered myself average in almost every single respect. The only thing that I think, and I wasn't really aware of this until I made a channel and was involved more in the community, is that, again, and I referenced it earlier, my baseline level of happiness. I am super chilled, super happy almost all of the time. I go to sleep feeling happy, I wake up happy. It's really unusual for me to feel anything other than that, and I'm quite guilty at that fact, and I wasn't again aware of how common and how desperate some people have to fight for even a semblance of happiness in life. So, and it's not really anything I'm doing, but that's my favorite part of myself. It's not really something I can teach. If I could give some happiness away, I definitely would. But I feel very fortunate. Again, it's more luck by... There are certain things that we all have to kind of accept. Again, I'm a very average-looking dude. Like 5 out of 10 average. Like these are my cards, and that's what we play. For some reason, the culmination of my life has resulted in me having like a way above average level of happiness. And that's my favorite part about me, for sure. I have quite a lot of patience, probably from the same thing. There are lots of things that I don't really like about myself, but that's one thing that I do like. So thank you for kind of encouraging me to recognize something about myself that I like. So thank you. Amazing question. The next is from Ian of BeardedAudioASMR.
Hey there, Matt. Long-time listener, first-time caller, and I am just stoked out of my mind to have this opportunity to ask you a question. I know you know a lot about potions, and you see, I'm having some trouble with this stamina potion. It tastes like trash, and it's actually making me tired when I drink it, so clearly not having the effect I want. I've got bear claws, I've got charred skeever hide, I've got hawk beak, and I've got honeycomb. I throw them all in a pot, and it's just not doing it for me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Can you help me out?
Please go and subscribe to his channel. That was amazing. Okay, I heard hawkbeak, I think. I'm sure, and skeeverhide, I'm sure, is Skyrim. And there are loads of potions, loads of stamina potions in Skyrim. But I don't think you need honeycomb. So get rid of the honey. Swap out the beak for a feather, I think. Use the... oh, what is it called? I think it's just a hawk feather, the skeever hide, and bear claw will give you a stamina potion. I'm sure, something like that. So lose the honey, change out the beak for a feather, and then maybe you're good. However, you should also consider, Mr. Bearded Audio, that you're already max stamina and you're already like godlike, and trying to take a stamina potion would have a negative impact when you're already maxed out. So don't overlook that fact. Thank you for the question. Okay, the next is from Sarah, otherwise known as Sammy ASMR.
Well, howdy there, Matt. My name's Sarah, and today I'm calling in from Jackson, Mississippi. I have, unfortunately lost one of my horses in the last couple of days, and I was just wanting to know if you had any advice on how to deal with the loss of an animal. This is the first time I've experienced the loss of a pet, if you will, and it's still impacting me just as much as if it were a human, you know? I was just wondering if this is normal, and if you could provide some words of wisdom, they'd be greatly appreciated. Anyway, I'm a big fan of the show, and I have so much respect for what you do. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Their accent is that their natural accent is actually British. That was amazing. Way too much talent. But to answer the question with the seriousness that it warrants, my wife and I we lost one of our adoptee cats last year. He had kidney disease and wasn't in a great place. And it's very, very difficult. and it's not something that you immediately get over. It's not something that you will ever forget. And it's very, very difficult. And of course it impacts people in different ways. For me, I don't want to go into too much specifics, nor too many specifics, because it's a very personal thing, I guess. But if you can, be with your pet at the end, if you can. And for us, we were left with one. It sounds horrible, but if you've always had a pet, then I would go and suggest getting another pet. They can't replace someone or something that you had, but to me it helps fill a very large void. So we said we had two, and with the one, thankfully she adapted very quickly and she's okay. But it's so tough. And weirdly, it actually links back to what I said about Fox as my pet, because pets don't live forever, and when you buy one or when you rescue one, preferably, we rescued ours from the street. You can do what you like, it's okay. But yeah, you need to do so in the knowledge that one day you're gonna have to say goodbye, and be strong, be prepared for it. And it's not easy. Talk about it, share memories, share pictures, and don't stop loving them. I hope that helps. Thank you for the great question, dude. Okay, the next is from BixieASMR.
Hey Matt, massive fan of the show, like super massive fan. So my question today is, cream then jam on a scone, or jam then cream?
This isn't actually tough for me to answer. My dad's going to be sat at home with a different answer from my mother. So I should note, I add butter to my scone first, which is frowned upon in some circles. I don't care. I put butter, and then I put jam, and then cream. Because trying to spread jam on top of cream is a nightmare. Spreading cream over jam is infinitely easier. I have done it both ways, and I don't think that the flavor difference is really all that noticeable. But from a convenience and ease of use, butter, jam, cream. Thank you very much. I do need to speed these up because I think we're already running way longer than we should have. The next is from calliopewhispersASMR.
Hey Matt, how you doing? I seem to have a little problem with collecting cats. Everywhere I go, I find cats, and now they're following me everywhere I walk. My house is full of cats. How do I stop this catastrophe?
Thank you very much for the question. I would counter that is a blessing. There is no catastrophe if you are lucky enough to be attracting every cat that you see, and they follow you home and you have a house full of cats. You're incredibly fortunate. Nothing to change there, but I can understand why. So I would suggest getting yourself a little dog and rubbing the dog over your clothes, and when you walk out, the cats will look at you, heed you, probably metaphorically spit on you, and leave you alone. In fact, the cats in the house might also leave involuntarily, so bring them to my house. We have some space. No issues. Thank you for the great question. Now it's CarolineASMR.
Hey Matt, this is Caroline. Thank you for having me on your show. So my question is, how did you end up in Dubai, and what do you enjoy most about living there?
a question for me. Okay. So I ended up in Dubai because an agency, recruitment agency, like a headhunter sort of thing, reached out to me one day and said, listen, we'd like to put you forward for this job. Can we have a call? I was like, not really, but okay. Who likes having a call? So we had a call for a little while, and they said, listen, this is the job. And I said, if you like, I don't care. Not really giving too much thought about it. I thought it might be quite cool to live in Dubai for a while. But I was quite happy where I was, so I wasn't really too bothered. And then I interviewed for the job, did another interview, and then they offered me the job. And I was like, well, might be fun. I've never been there before. And that's how I ended up in the middle of the desert. I will add, Dubai is becoming, I think, increasingly more popular, especially for influencer, not just influencer, but a lot of influencers want to come to Dubai for a variety of reasons. But it is not for everyone. But I personally really love my time out here, and yeah, I was lucky enough to get a job here. Thank you for the question. The next is CreativeCalmASMR.
Hey Matt, oh my god, I could not believe that I got on the show. So exciting. I am the biggest Matt fan show. I am wearing my I Love Matt t-shirt right now, and nothing else. Wink. Anyway, my name's Lucy, and I just wanted to ask, how do you stop comparing yourself to people of a similar age who may be doing similar life things? You know, as someone in their sort of early 30s, some sort of milestones come up, and you know, people start to be doing very serious adult things. And how do you sort of cope and navigate and stay so positive? That's what I would love to ask. Okay, thank you.
That is, again, such a specific question. I think that applies to almost everyone, regardless of your demographic or your age group. I think the first thing you need to do, not you as a person, but we as people need to do, is realize that you're never going to be completely satisfied. So let's just say one of the things that you think you should do before you're 30 is have property, which, by the way, is now far less common. The average age for buying a house is over 30, but just as an example. Let's say you always wanted one, and you've done it. You've been lucky enough to raise that crazy sum of money for a deposit. You get your own place. Then it'll be the next thing. But I don't have this. But they have this and I don't. There will never be a time where you have completed everything, where you are absolutely satisfied with everything. And trying to go through a list of things that you don't have will just terrorize you and waste what little time we have on the planet. So instead, try and enrich your life with things that just are awesome. If you can afford to do the things that make for a good time, that are fun, that are pleasing for you. For me, I'm a giant foodie. I'll spend way too much of what I earn on having delicious food. Maybe for someone else, it's a hobby. Maybe you're a photographer, you want to spend money on a camera. And investing in yourself and in your happiness is a big thing. It doesn't need to be with money, it can be with time. And to go back to Eda Fox's question, it's important to try and find a balance between, it's easy to say that, okay, I could die tomorrow, so I should live today. It's very, 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 very unlikely that that's going to happen. You're probably going to be fine, and you should try and live on the basis that you're going to be fine tomorrow. But equally, be nice to yourself. If you find yourself comparing yourself to others, physically pick yourself up and do something else. Because it's so easy to get into this cycle, this comparison cycle. And we only get one life. If you get to the end of your life and someone can show you a graphic of how much time you spent not living, you would be astonished at how high that number is. And only you can stop you wasting time. So forget what anyone else is doing. Focus on you. Look for things that can make you happy. And do lots of them. And do it lots of times. Okay? Thank you very much. The next is from Tom from TheLaughingHeartASMR.
Hi there, Matt. Big fan. Thanks for having me on the show. I wonder, can you settle an argument between me and my American girlfriend, which is it tomato or tomato? I've tried to stress the importance to her of speaking the King's English, but she just doesn't seem to understand.
Well, I guess she doesn't understand because it's not important to her. A lot of Americans have zero love for the king or his English. So to me, tomato is the only way you can say that word. Tomato is an abomination to the ears, the eyes, and the senses. I cannot help you there, my friend. I really wish I could, but needless to say, of course you are correct. Thank you for the question. The next is from LiziASMR.
Hey Matt, big fan of the show by the way. I have a question. Why is that round pizzas come in square boxes? Thanks.
Round pizzas come in square boxes because the manufacturing costs of making square boxes from a giant sheet of cardboard is infinitely less than cutting a circle. And if you imagine rolling out cookie dough and using a circular cutter, you have all the waste at the end. Manufacturing boxes is the exact same premise. Of course, the real answer is the disaster of '66. Some guys came out of a match celebrating, got some pizza, and they were throwing their disc-shaped boxes at people. Many people lost their lives, and for the first time in human history, the world came together and agreed that circular pizza boxes were a danger to life and our race, the whole of humanity. So they changed it to the square box that is infinitely less dangerous. The first is the story they tell you. The second story is the truth. Thank you for the question. Okay, now we have FamKamASMR.
Matt, big fan of the show. Been listening for ages. I got a question about beard routines. How do you keep your beard so dang fabulous?
I have a less than adequate beard. It's patchy, it's pretty weak, but it's mine, and that's enough. I have a nice beard oil, inexpensive, that I use a couple times a week, that keeps it quite soft. And if I have a couple of pennies extra at the end of the week, I'll go to my barber, and cutting a beard with scissors is much better than using a razor, if that's possible. Good barber can do wonders for your beard. Mine would look much worse, believe it or not. Thank you for the great question. Now we have JodieMarieASMR.
Hi Matt, love the show. So my question for you is, I am planning a birthday get-together for my friend. Unfortunately, I am only allowed 6 people. There is 8 in my friendship group. I know my friend would love to do what I've got planned. How would you decide who to take, or would you just not go with that idea? Thank you.
That is a tough one. I think the easiest and least painful solution would be to do something as the two of you. It might not be as fun as what you had planned for the 6, but depending on the circle of friends that you keep and how easily hurt and offended they are, I would keep it to the two of you. That way no one can get upset. If you have already booked the 6 and you need to do it, I would put it to the group of 8 and say, listen, it's 6 only, me and the friend, I need 4 of you, first come, first served. Something like that, that they're going to complain, but it's probably the fairest solution to it. That's a tough one though, but very nice of you to treat your friend and 4 others. I hope you have an amazing time. Thank you for the question. Now we have LunarASMR.
Hello, Matt. I'm having trouble. Which lipstick do you think I should put on? Should I put a red lipstick or should I put a pink lipstick?
For me, I would skip the lipstick. If it was my wife answering, she would say the red lipstick, for sure. Maybe do one red, see what it looks like, take it off and do pink. See what you like best. Thank you for the great question. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask them. Now we have Nick from the ASMR Nerd.
Hey Matt, it's the ASMR Nerd here. Big fan. And I just want to know, in your opinion, what is the most rockin' guitar solo of all time? You know, the one you can't help but play air guitar along with. Thanks for answering.
Dude, that is a scandalously good question. Now, I am not a guitar connoisseur or even a rock connoisseur. I'll give 2 answers. I think, technically speaking, and I don't play guitar, but just with my ears, and in layman's terms, I heard Jimi Hendrix do a rendition of, I think it's called All Along the Watchtower. Was it a Bob Dylan? I'm not sure who wrote the original, but Hendrix covered it, and it's not one particular solo, but the complexity, what he makes the guitar do in that song, it's a long song, is nuts to me, and I'd imagine that is very, very difficult to replicate. But me personally, my favorite riff is actually Slash's solo in November Rain, when in the video there's a helicopter kind of flying over and he's outside the church. He's like, do. That one. I don't know how technically complex it is, but it sounds remarkably good. So let's go for Slash's November Rain solo. Hope that's okay. Thank you for the question. Now we have Miss Chloe.
Hey Matt, big fan of the show. My question is, if you could start a business tomorrow without any limitations, what would that business be?
Wow, that's such a clever question. Without any limitations, for sure I would start a pharmaceutical company based specifically in the United States of America. And the USA has lots, and I mean lots, of amazing attributes and characteristics to it. People there are just the nicest, but their healthcare is just an abomination. I would start up a pharmaceutical company that's manufacturing meds and selling at a very, very small markup of production costs, and I would still make a lot of money that could then be used to cancer research and that kind of thing. And there is so much work we can do in the pharmaceutical world that isn't being done. We're gatekeeping a lot of technology, and it's so sad. So, and America isn't the only country guilty of this, but insulin is a very low-hanging fruit example. It can manufacturing cost of insulin is so low, and the sale cost in some parts of the world is just, it's eye-watering and it's so sad. So big pharma for sure. Really good question though, thank you. Okay, we only have 2 more to go. 2 more to go. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. The next is from MarnoASMR.
Hello, Matt. My name is Morika, and I'm a huge fan of your show. I've been watching since the very beginning. Thank you for taking my call. I'm just wondering, do you have any suggestions for anyone that is looking to be successful in a new business adventure?
I think Morga has the most relaxing voice in all the thousands of creators I have ever heard. Please give her channel a look. Advice on a new business venture. Really good question. I think it depends on the business. I think newer wave mindset suggests that you should be selling a product that you haven't even manufactured yet. And I could be quite technical with this. Let's keep it quite kind of high level. Be realistic with expectations. Don't expect to turn a profit on your first year. And take things very slowly. Don't overextend. Don't expect to be immediately successful. Expect to fail. Okay? But do it anyway. Do it because you love it. Think about it long and hard before you rush into it. Plan and plan and plan meticulously. If you can get the ear of any kind of SME, subject matter expert, that can give you some advice, or somebody that's already doing the business, they could give you some tips. Do a lot of research. Don't waste your money. Money is so hard to come by initially. And do the research. Do your due diligence. Reach out to experts. Take your time. Okay, but do it. Even if you expect to fail, do it. Because it might work. And it could be the most amazing thing ever. Okay. Thank you. Such a good question. Finally, we have MarnoASMR again. I'm not sure why. Hold on.
Hey Matt, it's Marno again. Just wanted to let you know that I found my crayons. They were under my pillow where I always keep them. Also, I'm going to be in Dubai in a few weeks, and I was wondering if you had any recommendations of places to eat. Keep up the great work, man. Take care.
I mean, if you're coming to Dubai, please do bring the crayons. I think you said there were 64 of them, so that would be nice. It could be a very, very long list, and it really depends on price point. If you're looking for something relatively low cost, you want to head out of downtown Dubai, head into somewhere like Jumeirah Lakes Towers, where there are a lot of small little restaurants. There's just one Mexican place. I'll message you the name of it. They do tacos for really, really insignificant sum of money. It almost doesn't feel real. Beautiful tacos too. If you're looking for more kind of medium range, you can shop around in the marina. Maybe go to Mighty Quinn's, which is one of my favorite places to go. You get the finest meat anywhere at the price point. Really succulent and juicy, and there are some ridiculously tasty vegan options close on that strip as well, if that's what you prefer. If you're looking for more of the I want to waste some money, then I would consider Carnival. Carnival is a Michelin star restaurant that serves Asian-leaning, kind of Indian-leaning cuisine in the most exaggerated and fun way possible. They're called Crescent by Carnival, or Carnival by Crescent. Google it. And along, if you, again, have too much money. And they have a lot of dry ice courses, and I think it's like 12 or 14 courses you get. It's insane. It's something that I will never forget. I was lucky enough to go before, and it's just, I felt far too fortunate and really out of place. But once in a lifetime. It's not that expensive, but, you know, for some people, it's an eye-watering sum of money, and that isn't lost on me. I hope you have a great time, and give me a shout. Okay, that's the end of all of our questions. Thank you from the very bottom of my heart to all the listeners that sent questions. I can't stress enough how grateful I actually am for giving up your time. And we as humans don't like doing something that wasn't scheduled, something that we didn't have planned to do, and to suddenly decide, oh, I need to make more time to do something I hadn't planned to do. It's no small feat, and it's not lost on me at all. So thank you so much. For anyone that wanted to send a question but just couldn't find the time, please don't